please welcome Amber Casali.
Hello.
Awesome. So great to see you. Thank you so
Phil.
much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is great. So your new book is going to be about fire lookouts. Fire lookouts. Tell us a little bit. What are fire lookouts?
Sure.
And how did you get interested in them?
Yeah. So fire lookouts are basically a wooden square structure that are placed on a mountaintop or on a high ridge line in the mountains, and they're used to staff someone during the summer months to spot fires. So they were mostly built in the 1930s, was sort of the height of it. A lot of them were built by the Civilian Conservation Corps. So they were sort of built through the early part of the century, declined by the mid-century. Washington had about 500 or 600 in the height of their use. And then today we have about 87. And so they're just these fascinating, the fact that you have these built structures like on mountaintops, I just find really fascinating. So I had hiked to a couple. Some of them are already like really well-known, popular hiking destinations. Mm-hmm. And I went to a couple and just thought, wow, these are a spectacular place to be able to get to.
And that inspired you to follow through on this project. Mm-hmm. Did that come together easily? What was it? Was it a challenge to do? And how many are left? So about 87, as you say. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about what the range and scope of what you explored was.
Yeah. So I wrote a guidebook to basically the western half of Washington. So it covers lookouts in the Olympics, in the Cascades, including the eastern slope over to Highway 97. So that covers about half the lookouts in Washington. So I covered 44 of them, and it was a great experience. Like I said, some of them are very well known. Some of them I could find almost no information about. I didn't know if they were still standing. I didn't know if the lookout had been torn down years ago or burnt down in a fire. So there's also a lot of just scouting and figuring it out as I went along.
Wow. And what's the furthest distance you had to go from a road?
Oh, for hiking, the farthest I went was to Desolation Peak, and that is up in the North Cascades. You can take a boat part of the way on Ross Lake, but if you go by trail, it's about 23 miles each way. So that was about a 46-mile backpacking trip that I did with a girlfriend over 3 days, and you're back there and you're just a few miles from the Canadian border, and just really expansive North Cascades view.
And are some of them closer in?
Yeah, so some of them I basically considered a hike anything that you could walk to. Mm-hmm. So some of them you are actually just a third of a mile, quarter of a mile, 1 mile, and everything in between. There's hikes in the book that range from a round trip of a half a mile to round trip of 46 miles.
Wow. So something for everybody, I guess.
Exactly.
So you have some photos, I think, of some of these that we can look at. Tell us a little bit about these.
Yeah, so this first one is called Kelly Butte, and it is off Highway 410, just north of Mount Rainier National Park. And I included this one because I had never heard of it, and I had been an avid hiker for years in this area before I started this project. So it was just nice because it's drivable within a day from Seattle. It's only a few miles each way, and you're not in the park, but you get this just stunning view of the north side of Mount Rainier.
Nice.
Yeah. This one is called Leecher Lookout, and it is in the sort of southeastern part of the Methow Valley. And this one is really special because it's still staffed, and it's staffed by a man named Lightning Bill, and he's probably the most experienced and longest running fire lookout staff in Washington State, and he's just a wealth of knowledge, and it's really special to be able to go, and if you can catch him while he's there, he'll gladly talk to you. He'll spot you as you walk up and say, "Hey, come on up," and invite you up. And it's good to remember that if you go to any of these that are staffed, it is someone's home. And try to go during their working hours, which is 9 to 6.
It's not quite clear, why is it on such high stilts?
Yeah, so some of them are called a ground house, and they're built on the ground, and that was more common in the 30s and 40s. And then this is a later style. They were put onto towers, and actually some of those ground houses were put onto to a tower structure. It just gives more, more visibility. Maybe they found a mountain top that was a decent site, but just getting, another 30 feet of height can give you that much more ability to see the surrounding area, because you're there to vigilantly look for fires. They're doing a full scan, which takes about a half an hour every 2 hours. So they really need to be able to see the 360 view. This is the view from Leecher Lookout, and as you can see, we're on the east side of the Cascades, this little bit drier eastern foothills, but just a really stunning area and very changing weather. So we got to see the rain come in, and then the sun come in, and the rainbow.
Excellent.
So this one, the first two I talked about were a little bit shorter hikes. This one I kind of just wanted to show the full range of what's out there. Just to get to the trailhead, this is Three Fingers Lookout near Granite Falls off the Mountain Loop Highway. Ah. And the road is actually closed for 9 miles before the trailhead. So you have 18 miles of either extra backpack or biking with your backpack just to get to the trailhead. And then it's quite a hike in. And then as you can see, once you get to the view of the lookout, it is perched on this precarious ridgetop. I don't know if you can see it. That is the fire lookout. And so you're already, exhausted. You're going along this ridge line, and then the last little bit is actually, there's a permanent snowfield, and this is the only hike in my book that would possibly have technical skills required, where you would need an ice axe or crampons. Although if it's melted out, it would be a scramble, and you could stay on the rocks. But it's a little, definitely a little dicey getting to the top, and then 3 ladders that are bolted into the rock from the 1930s. Wow. To get up there, and it is just a precarious but beautiful, stunning spot. And on the next slide you can see up close what the lookout looks like. And so they're all this this square structure with windows, but then they have the shutters that come down to protect it from the elements in the off season, and you can just see the expansive view. This is at, I think, 7,200 feet. So it's windy, it's cold. Wow. You're up there.
That is amazing. So I guess here's the cover of the book. It looks spectacular. Any last message you want to leave with us about what is compelling to you and important? It is an important part of our history in a certain way, and these are treasures that won't be here forever, maybe. Yeah. I think I'm really grateful for the ones that are still standing. Like I said, even from when I started my research, there's ones that have been torn down, or just because we don't necessarily have all the resources to maintain them as well as they could be. And so there's actually a really wonderful movement toward community groups helping to maintain them and keep them in good condition. So there's a lot of friends of groups, friends of North Mountain Lookout, Friends of Hidden Lake, that will organize their own work parties. They'll organize, people bringing up shingles 1 load at a time in their backpack, up to the mountaintop to re-roof if that needs. Some of the lookouts will have information inside, envelopes for donation, websites. You can check with the ranger station. So, if these speak to you, if you enjoy going to them, and want to see them live on, there are ways to get involved and to show your support. Thank you so much. That is just terrific. So great to know that those resources are available. Yeah. And this book comes out?
It comes out May 1st, published by the Mountaineers Books, and it'll be available all over Seattle and online.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Phil.